Before we begin, two messages. What mobile platform do companies like eBay, NBC Universal, the Los Angeles Times, Razorfish, and PayPal use to build their cross-platform native applications? Titanium by AppCelerator. They aren't alone. There are now over 25,000 apps deployed by AppCelerator, which has been called the Rosetta Stone of app development. And you can start now for free. Just go to www.appcelerator.com for more information. When my company needed to develop a key mobile product, one that I was counting on as a new source of revenue, I knew exactly who to turn to. Macadamian. They delivered on time with incredible attention to detail, and I was able to get product into customers' hands faster than I ever thought possible. I've personally known them for 10 years, and they do make great products even better. Check them out at www.macadamian.com. Hello everybody and welcome to Untether.tv. I'm your host, Rob Woodbridge. This is where we bring those great stories, the background stories, the information that you need to know in order to be able to go out and find your way in the mobile space, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're an investor maybe, whether you've been tasked with exploring this mobile world and trying to figure it out, or if you're just interested in what's going on. This is a place you come to find those stories. Today, I'm speaking to Nick Macilveen, who is the Director of Carrier Partnerships at PayPal. And we're going to be diving into one of the most exciting topics around commerce and transactions when it comes to, near term and long term. And it's that perfect spot, right, where, you've got your phone in your hand, you've got the relationship with the carrier, and you want to make a purchase. I think that this is a powerful combination with PayPal and with the carriers, and storing it all up in the cloud. We're going to get into this very quickly and very soon, and I want to welcome Nick. Thank you so much for being a part of this. I appreciate you coming around.
My pleasure, Rob. Thanks for having us.
So what do you do? What is Director of Carrier Partnerships at PayPal?
Well, PayPal works with its carrier partners much like it works with its merchants as well. Carriers, mobile operators are critical to what we see as the value chain, the ecosystem of expanding mobile commerce. So earlier this year, PayPal purchased a company called Zong Mobile Payments, which processed digital goods. I came with that transaction and really helped PayPal move into the carrier billing for digital goods space. And from there, that foundation, we're moving off to working with wireless carriers on all sorts of mCommerce related activities that you'll start hearing about over the next 12 to 18 months.
So when you talk about carrier billing for digital goods, dive into that a little bit, because that's what Zong did, and this is a massive industry already, and PayPal getting into this is a pretty key indicator.
Absolutely. It's a high growth area. So just for the folks that don't have a background in carrier billing, it's effectively using your cellular phone, your mobile phone, to pay for a digital good that's purchased online. So it could be virtual currency, for example, let's say a Facebook credit purchase to play a Zynga game online. It could be purchased on a mobile device. So let's say using an Android device and transacting, buying a virtual currency inside a game for additional gameplay, additional credits to, let's say, use the bigger gun or send a digital rose to my girlfriend or what have you. That's what I mean by virtual goods purchased online or on device. So we use the carrier bill, that is the bill that you pay every month, or your prepaid top-up card, as the purchasing mechanism. We allow consumers to make that purchase online or on device and bill it to their cell phone account at the end of the month. Very, very simple, and it really it just takes about 30 seconds to do that transaction. And believe it or not, no credit cards required. It just shows up on your cell phone bill at the end of the month.
I mean, one of the greatest things about PayPal, just in general, is the fact that this is seamless transactions, right? You've had a number of years as a company to get to this point where you're accepted everywhere online, and it is a seamless transaction. You don't need to have a credit card. I can send people money. I can do all these things that a lot of companies now are starting to get into with a little bit of complexity, like the credit card companies and those guys. And I know they partner with you, but Why is that so important for adoption in this space?
For digital goods,
Yeah.
well, it's effectively another way to pay. So if you think about using a core PayPal account as a consumer, as a customer, you can use it in a very flexible manner. You can use your stored balance on your PayPal account. You can use credit cards to pay for something. You can use your checking account processed via ACH. And now we're adding carrier billing to the already broad and flexible offering that PayPal has. So if you think about it, there are only 500 million credit cards in the world today. There are 5 billion cell phones out there today in the world. So it's an easy, effective, broad and ubiquitous method to get money into the system, and then from there we're able to enable transactions all over the world. So carrier billing is an important part, but it's I'd say one component of a broad portfolio of sort of methods that consumers can pay for a number of goods. But right now, carrier billing is focused primarily on digital goods or virtual goods, whereas we've focused for PayPal the credit card transactions out of the checking accounts and so on. You can pay for physical goods today using those core payment methods.
It just seems to me like, I've often talked about this on this show about the perfect mobile transaction, mobile wallet engagement, and it really comes down to this. When I walk into a restaurant or a place of service, and it's time to pay the bill, I just scan whatever it is that I'm using from my smartphone, whatever it is, my mobile wallet, if you want to say it. And what it does is it does exactly that. It says, okay, well, you know what? You've got $20 in PayPal over here. You've got a little bit of room in your top up on your for your carrier bill, maybe $11 over here. You've got $30 in Facebook credits equivalent, or Bitcoin or whatever it might be. And your credit cards only have $3 left. So a combination of all that is going to pay for the bill. Right? So that's like the perfect mobile wallet experience. And I think that PayPal pretty much plays in all of that, don't you guys?
Well, Rob, it's an interesting point. I'd say that sort of flexible payments and flexible billing are one of the key differentiators that PayPal brings to the table for consumers and its customers. You can actually, in 2012, you will actually be able to make a purchase and then decide how you want that transaction settled post several days later. So let's say you decide, you forgot you wanted to pay for that trip to Hawaii, but you aren't actually taking that trip to Hawaii until March of next year. You can pay for that later. You can pay in installments. Very, very flexible. Wow. Carrier billing will probably mostly likely be suited for sort of impulse, one-time purchases made online or on device for digital and virtual goods. But all of those other transactions that you can think of throughout the day, the week, or the month, absolutely PayPal will allow you to be flexible as a consumer and pay and settle. Also, what you were talking about earlier, so that scenario of paying for a restaurant bill. Even today, we enable a company called Pizza Express in the UK. They have about 370 outlets. You can actually today, after you get the bill at the end of your dinner, there's actually a code on the bill which you can settle via PayPal right from your mobile app instantaneously. You don't even actually have to go use a credit card or what have you. Just on your way out, show the transaction ID is confirmed, and away you go.
And away you go. I love it, and I think that's part of the reason that I'm a PayPal user, just simply because of the flexibility that it provides. But a lot of this resides in the cloud, or needs the cloud, and I think that as I think we discussed a little bit before, is that this is really a cloud experiment, isn't it? Where you start to talk about these kind of moving your transactions into the cloud, or having it follow you, or having every account that you own follow you. I mean, is this a cloud play for you guys?
It's definitely a cloud play. I would not, however, call it an experiment. I would call it a reality. In 2012, not only with online on your tablet, your iPad or other tablet device, on mobile, even at point of sale, you will be able to access all of your payment methods that you have put into your PayPal wallet in a number of different ways. So the flexibility of the payment method will be there, as well as how you actually pay, whether it be on device or at point of sale or what have you. It will be a number of options for consumers, and from there you just talk about what does that cause? Where does the market go? You will see a whole new addressable market get created by payment methods being enabled for consumers and merchants seeing new consumers that they've never seen before. So what we're talking really about is growth, both in mobile payments, but payments in general beyond cash. And that's what's really exciting, is about this is an intelligent wallet that really stores your financial information, but also stores your loyalty cards, believe it or not. So whether it be your local grocery retailer, your loyalty card there, oftentimes I might not necessarily even have those cards in my wallet. You'll be able to store all of those loyalty programs in one place, and you won't ever have to worry about it again. It will be in the PayPal intelligent wallet. We like to say not only are we putting the offers in one place, because we'll have the intelligence to offer where you are, what you're doing, right? Because we'll have those merchants involved in your loyalty programs there. But we will also, we like to say we want to make money work harder for you as a consumer. And again, when I think about that, as I use PayPal, we're talking leaps and bounds of even just a couple of years ago. Yeah. We've got the 9 million merchants and 103 million consumers. It's a beautiful scenario for 2012. And
the numbers that you guys have put out around for this calendar year, 2011, is somewhere in the round of $3.5 to $3.6 billion in transactions, mobile transactions done through PayPal, which is just an incredible number, because you keep revising it up, right? Which is the best thing that you can possibly do. My sense of that is that a lot of that is early adopters transferring the way that they pay. So it might not be net new revenue to retailers, but what they're doing is they're setting the stage for this kind of growth coming in 2012 around new revenue, new consumers, and not just transferring it over from paying for cash or credit card. Is that the way that you guys see it, or are you guys a little bit more optimistic about that out of that $3.5 billion, that there is some net new revenue from that?
We actually believe that it is, in some cases, net new revenue. If you think about some retailers out there, they are actually experiencing a higher conversion rate. So, number one, these are retailers that perhaps have not been historically in mobile checkout. So we have a mobile checkout product that enables mobile purchasing and across various types of devices on tablets and so on. So before, the consumers were having to sort of pinch and scroll in a browser type situation. Instantly, we've enabled thousands and thousands of merchants to transact on mobile, so a mobile optimized checkout experience. But additionally, they are then able to completely have an experience that is true to them as far as the consumers go. So if you think about, again, the offers that some of the eBay and PayPal acquisitions have brought to the table, where local offers, Milo, local inventory, these are merchants that have historically not been online, let alone on mobile. So they're growing into different mediums very, very quickly. And again, consumers are not transacting today. So to answer your question, I think that it's sort of a multiplier effect, and I think that both in the conversion rate as well as the new addressable market, these are consumers, again, that are not historically purchasing either online, on device, on mobile devices, or on tablets. This is all typically new revenue, for these merchants out there.
Yeah, and I think that what it comes down to is around trust, and certainly around customer ownership and trust with data and trust with the transaction, and it's the same reason why iTunes took off, right? Where you put your credit card in here, over here, and then you don't really see that transaction, or you're not putting your credit card in every time. It's that seamless piece of commerce that happens. So you're right. Maybe they say that when you buy one app in iTunes, you're hooked, right? And you've crossed that hurdle. So this is interesting for us because I'm up in Canada, and Rogers is Canada's largest carrier up here, and Rogers has just applied to be a bank, right? So they've gone through what they need to do to be a bank here in Canada, and I think that this is an incredible visionary thing that they're doing here. I'm not a big fan of carriers in general because I pay so much money to them every month. They're a necessary evil, I think, absolutely. But what Rogers is doing on the transaction side and becoming a bank is genius. So how important are carriers in this mix of mobile commerce and mobile transactions?
Carriers, I think, are a critical piece of, call it the value chain, and I like to call the carrier of the future. Both security, authentication, location, and billing are all part of those the components of what the carrier of the future is. And Rogers, to name one, I think has realized that billing and the transaction piece of it will be very important for them and their consumers moving forward. So just to talk about the security piece, carriers I think have a lot to offer there. They have a relationship, an actual billing relationship with the consumer, and they know where I am, so that might be able to authenticate, hey, this consumer is making this $300 purchase at a particular location. Our network confirms that. I think that there's a lot of value there that carriers worldwide can bring to the table when we're talking about transactions, and much like in the future, sort of that authentication, security, location, and the wallet. I think that there will be a number of sort of wallets out there. I think PayPal, we like to work with carriers, but again, that intelligent wallet that PayPal offers allows the flexibility for consumers to pay however they want, and we think that's going to be successful as well.
So do you think that, where carriers play here is really in that microtransaction piece? I mean, nobody's going to buy a car on your carrier bill, but that kind of transaction. But is it really, I think we've been talking about this, like, the connected vending machine and connected parking meters and those kind of things where it just goes directly onto your carrier bill. But is that short term, or do you think that it's always going to be, as we get out of virtual goods and into real goods, do you think that that it stays in that small transaction piece, a meal here, a parking ticket here, that kind of stuff? Or does it escalate into real credit terms with your carrier?
For those carriers that perhaps want to become a bank, that might be very much the case. But in some cases, many carriers aren't quite there yet.
No.
If we talk about sort of that point of sale NFC type technology, we view that as sort of a technological solution, a niche solution, and we still think that perhaps is 3 to 5 years away.
Yeah.
Of course, 3 to 5 years ago, the industry might have said that as well. So, but the way we see it is, to be successful, PayPal needs to offer a broad set of solutions to the market, whether it be, again, point of sale, NFC, again, sort of a technology. But what's critical there is the relationship with the consumer. Very, very important. And the rewards, the redemption of the rewards points as well, sort of plugging in everything. So any program that's successful, I think it's got to be successful, or I should say flexible, broad in approach, and the relationship with the merchants. That's very, very critical as well. So a multi-part answer, Rob, but the piece there that carriers offer, again, is sort of the handset. What goes on the handset will be, it has to be flexible, but there will be other parties on that handset as well. So perhaps the jury's still out on what will be successful for carriers in the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at NFC, which which is supposed to herald, the era of mobile commerce and transactions. I think you said it so succinctly there, is that it is an enabler. It is an enabler technology, right? It's not the service that runs it. It's the enabler. And I've heard so many times that 2011 was the year of NFC, and I think there are 2 phones that in existence that actually enable this. So if that's the year of it, we are in for it. And 3 to 5 years is probably it. And I would even add to your comment there about 3 to 5 years. I'd say that 3 to 5 years ago, nobody saw what we're going through right now coming. So how are they going to be, how can they predict what's going to happen in 3 to 5 years when it comes to this stuff? Because it's, the things that we're doing today weren't even in anybody's purview 3 to 5 years ago. We were heading down the netbook avenue. There was no tablets. Mobile was just this thing, and now it's disrupting pretty much every industry. So there's a difference between a service like PayPal enabling versus a technology as a underneath that service, and you got to be smart across all of those.
One thing to add there, Rob, it's mobile 3 to 5 years ago was perhaps viewed as a niche play in of itself. Let's say 5 years ago. Now, mobile is completely mainstream. It is as a part of online, offline. The majority of people around the world don't leave their phone from their line of sight. It's on us at all times. So it's the pervasive medium, but it's getting integrated and has gotten integrated into our lifestyle of transactions, whether it be online and now the new tablets. Very, very exciting place to play, and that's why we decided, hey, okay. We've done online really, really well for the last 13 years, 100 million plus consumers, 9 million merchants. How about go offline and capture some of that $10 trillion market worldwide? Forrester says that by 2013, believe it or not, be about a $10 trillion market. That's where we see a huge growth area for PayPal as well. We want to go capture that, bringing the expertise of payments in the cloud to offline point of sale as well, in as many different methods as possible to both merchants and as well as consumers.
Yeah, that's such a great point, Nick, because offline is you're right. I mean, PayPal is everywhere online, and in at the right time, at the right place. And I think that the internet era has created some big companies, and while PayPal is one of these long-standing companies formed in the formative years of the internet. It's a medium-sized company with an opportunity poised to become one of these large companies because of the way that this is a technology step. Because I think one of the key things is that is to be accepted. This might sound like an afternoon special story, but when we start to talk about PayPal being accepted, is like, I remember where I could get a PayPal card, right, where I could do direct debit or like a credit card, a prepaid card with my balance that I could pay with, right. And I think that maybe I'm wrong, but the biggest challenge has been that transition from online to the offline world. But these devices kind of mitigate all that now, right? Where if I can just tap or scan or type in a code, I don't need a debit card or a credit card anymore. I just need access to my account. So it does become that massive opportunity where PayPal goes from a good size 13-year-old company to an incredibly huge company doing billions of dollars in transactions every single day as a result of that. That's the feeling that I get.
We are truly at an inflection point. I mean, we're experiencing exploding growth today, and that growth will continue. To think about just last year, 2010, we had $750 million of mobile transactions, whereas this year we're projecting $3.5 billion. Just that explosive growth, it really validates, I think, some of the bets that our parent company eBay has been making on mobile. But again, that sort of that key word of commerce. Commerce is the lines between what's online, what's offline is really blurring. And you talk about consumers are actually, they're shopping 24/7. Their habits are changing, and merchants are interacting with consumers in a different way as well. I mean, to think about how I interact with a merchant like Best Buy is totally different than it was even 5 years ago. Sure. My research is done online, and PayPal is there on the online side of it, and then I might decide that I'm on the bus, and I do want that digital camera. I'm going to go ahead and make that purchase on my mobile phone, but I'm going to go pick it up this afternoon at the local Best Buy. Right. In each component of that purchase, PayPal has made investments, significant investments, to be there every step of the way. And again, including post-purchase, if I decide that I want to pay for it, settle that payment even later on, PayPal offers the consumers that flexibility as well. And again, all of those scenarios are experiencing explosive growth, and the merchants are certainly understanding that they need to be there with their consumers, however the consumers want to interact with their brand and their shopping cart.
Let me ask about that. Are we ready for this? I think I sometimes, probably like you, look at this through rose-colored glasses, thinking, like, you know what, we're so there, and then I get a slap or a dose of reality when I can't pay with my phone anywhere, or I can just buy a cup of coffee from Starbucks with my phone. So are we there yet on the consumer side? Are we there yet on the retailer side? And does this is this what we're going to see start to roll out in 2012, where there's an acceptance and we will start getting there?
Multi-part answer, Rob.
Yes.
First of all, I think we are there today. I'll give you a couple concrete examples. One is, if you think about just in the U.S., Starbucks, you can actually load your Starbucks prepaid gift card onto your mobile app, whether it be your Android or iPhone, and then you can continue to top up via a PayPal account, believe it or not. So that's an entirely a mobile transaction concluded by PayPal, and that type of transaction will continue down the path. People will start to use it in small ways and realize, hey, this is pretty cool. I like this, and I'm comfortable with it. I don't have to enter my credit card or other confidential financial information. I can log into my PayPal account, just use my either email address and password, or log in just with my phone number and PIN, both on device as well as point of sale, without giving away my financial information, complete the transaction point of sale, use my PayPal account, have the flexibility in payment terms, however I want to settle, as well as do I want to pay installments or what have you. Those little things that are starting today will grow very much more in 2012. You're going to see some exciting announcements from us. Just a couple other examples. Domino's. You can order Domino's in the UK for the pizza. You can order online or on your iPad and settle that via a PayPal account. Pretty exciting. So you think about just wow, I'm making this purchase on my iPad today, and there's that yellow PayPal checkout button. Hey, that's pretty cool. Do that once, and it's successful, of course, and the consumer tries it again when they're in store at point of sale. I think this is all kind of the multiplier effect, and you'll see, again, a number of announcements in 2012 that are really exciting. But right now, paying for things, settling for things, and incorporating the offers, incorporating the local merchants and their inventory. Another interesting way how merchants that historically have not been transacting online or on mobile, the local guys, the little guys, are now able to push offers to you as a consumer. That's a value add. Let's say you're walking down the street and you have it on your wish list in PayPal. You have a lawnmower, and you walk by your local hardware store that you haven't been into in 6 months. Hey, that's on your wish list. You know what? We're running a special today for 25% off our favorite lawnmower. While that might make us grin, those are real world examples next year of what will be the case with companies like the Ware acquisition and Milo. all pieces coming together for merchants and consumers, and you'll see a lot more very, very soon. And I'm excited about this because, again, and perhaps I'm a mobile guy, but it's mainstream, and that's what's exciting. And PayPal's been investing heavily in that, so I'm excited for 2012.
Do you think? Yeah, I mean, I can't wait. 2011 was a great year. 2012 is going to be, certainly I love it from a perspective of eBay because of all these acquisitions of Ware and you guys and all and trying to bring this all together. But when you think about, and this might be an off-topic question, but I always wonder this question around mobile transactions and around mobile commerce and the enablement factor, which is huge. But when we as consumers seem to have all the power today when it comes to what we want to pay for products, right? I mean, you do. You walk into a Best Buy and you can negotiate for the first time ever based on what you've just scanned, right? Shop Savvy, right? Or Red Laser, sorry. When you start to, you're enabling that kind of research at your fingertips so that I can walk up and say, well, you know what? I can get this from eBay, for $300 less. And they have that, we have that negotiating power. So that example of the lawnmower, I may have not been in that store for 6 months, and I may not ever go back, but I will go for that one purchase. Does that kind of, I wonder, does that dilute a brand? Because we have, as consumers, we have full power over what we want to pay. I don't know if you can answer that, Nick, but do you see that kind of, there's not a lot of loyalty left. I mean, I'll shop at the Gap or at Banana Republic when I get that email that comes in every Monday with 40% off. That's the enticement. Is that what we're seeing?
Well, both. If you take one perspective from the merchant and one perspective from the consumer, taking the merchant example, we're going to be seeing loyalty programs that are even more powerful and more pervasive in people's lives. So I think that merchants like Best Buy will have the opportunity to further expand their loyalty programs. Number one, they're going to have better data about a consumer's preference. Right. They're going to have the loyalty cards that are incorporated into that online and in the cloud wallet. So there are lots of things that merchants will be able to offer consumers based on having better data and a better sort of relationship with that consumer in interaction via the mobile and other connected devices. So we're talking about loyalty, also things like being able to redeem those loyalty points. Right, so accumulating but redeeming, spending my Best Buy points, whether it be there or online or on device. There are all sorts of opportunities for big merchants as well as little merchants, smaller merchants, the little guys that are out there on the street, mom and pop shops. They will, for the first time, sort of be able to transact with the big box retailers as well. So there will be opportunities, and for the consumers as well, they'll have a lot more choices. So choices of products and services as well as prices, but those merchants will also be able to respond. They'll be able to, like you said, they'll be able to perhaps negotiate. But those offers in the local inventory, very, very important, I think, from here on out, is part of that equation for merchants. Let's just say I'm at a retailer and I did want to make a purchase. I wanted to buy a pair of shoes, but they didn't have my size or my preferred color or what have you, a different model. That same retailer that might have lost that sale with the combination of Milo's local inventories as well as our Red Laser product, that consumer could potentially even purchase that same product from another physical location or have that shipped directly to their home. So that sale could actually be saved versus lost. Consumer goes down the street or to another location, never comes back. So there are a lot more opportunities both for merchants as well as consumers in the near future.
Yeah, and I think you said it so well, Nick, is that when you start to think about merchants and mobile, the power of what PayPal and other companies are doing around this is the enablement side, is the facilitation, is the, as you said, a way to engage deeper with your customer. But these guys have to get into it, right? So these companies have to start looking at mobile in a serious way, not only for inventory control and back office stuff, but also, you know, for to enable the consumer to do exactly that scenario. So if there are retailers out there that haven't even looked at mobile yet, I mean, what do you say to those guys? Is 2012 the year that they have to do this?
Well, I'm not going to be the guy that says 2012 is the year of mobile.
No, well, because that would be 11 years running for this.
Right, right. But, you know, if you think just, you know, another couple of opportunities for merchants, you know, rewards programs, rewards cards, you know, they're sort of physical cards that people have to remember to bring into the store. You know, oftentimes you have many missed opportunities, and sort of just thinking about the intelligent wallet that's out there today and what PayPal will offer in 2012, putting those reward programs, both getting data about consumer purchases, being able to better know that consumer. Very, very important. Just in those two components are reasons to I think, invest in mobile. And even for merchants that perhaps are online but not in mobile or not optimized for tablets, very, very simple, easy ways for merchants to get on device, so to speak, with the mobile optimized checkout product that PayPal offers. So easy and very low cost, ultra low cost for merchants, and a value to consumers. They're not being sold anything additionally. They're not being forced to do anything different. This is entirely value add, incremental features and functionality for consumers, and for merchants, it's a better way to serve their customer, a better way to track inventory, better way to provide offers and more real time inventory, sort of all in the plus category. That's one of the reasons I'm so excited about 2012.
All right, so I got to ask you, as the last question. When you kind of look over, you know, the landscape, there's a lot of motion in this, and there's a lot of activity, a lot of companies getting involved in this, and I love what you guys are doing. I love what PayPal and eBay is doing, simply put. But I do have to ask you, what do you look as a disruptive source happening inside of this industry that you're looking at, saying, you know, this is going to happen in this space in the next year or so? Is there anything that you see out there that's totally disruptive?
Well, from the PayPal perspective, we've spent 13 years as the premier online payments company, truly the online payments leader in the space. And what we are intending to do, we've announced to the world how we are going to disrupt it, is by moving offline, or I should say expanding to offline. So that's going to be really exciting. You know, if I think about how merchants will be able to further interact with their consumers and further transact with their consumers, what we like to say, anytime, anywhere, any way, that's a plus on both sides, merchants and consumers. I think that will be a disruptor in of itself, of connecting the dots, so to speak, of disparate payment networks, different mobile systems. And I think only PayPal does that, and we're going to do it even more next year. So watch out for 2012, because PayPal Mobile will be there, and so will millions of consumers and thousands of merchants. Which makes me get fired up for the new year.
I don't even have to ask you what gets you excited. I think that you're living it right now, aren't you?
Absolutely. You know, as I mentioned, Rob, I'm a mobile guy, and it's wonderful to see mobile truly integrated into many different methods of interacting with consumers. And it's the next few years are going to be a wild, wonderful ride.
I can't wait. I'm with you on this. You know, I've been doing this for a long time, and I'm so excited to start to see these things, the enablement piece, the stuff that Gene Roddenberry was talking about around, you know, seamless transactions, and really, there has to be seamless and frictionless, and I think that that's what PayPal brings. Is that, you know, when people are battling over whose digital wallet, whose mobile wallet they're going to be carrying around, and what those mobile wallets are going to do, I always see that there's going to be that little yellow button that says it doesn't matter what mobile wallet I use, I can still access the funds that I have in my PayPal account, or I can still access the, you know, my credit cards, which are stored off site. I think that that's you know, it's like the Intel Inside thing, right? Doesn't matter what's around it, but as long as PayPal is inside of it, it doesn't. You can do whatever you need to do, and I like that approach. I love that approach.
Well, thank you, Rob. And it's really about making money smarter and work harder for you. I mean, if we answer that question for consumers, we're definitely going to win. That's what we do every day, and we're looking forward to it.
That's amazing. Nick, I can't thank you enough for doing this. I really appreciate you spending some time talking about what PayPal's up to. I can't wait to see this, you know, all these properties coming together to make that seamless process for commerce and transactions all in one behind the scenes. So I really appreciate you coming on and explaining and talking us through this. Really, man. My pleasure, Rob. Thanks for having us. I've been speaking with Nick Macilveen, who is the Director of Carrier Partnerships at PayPal. Just go to paypal.com. If you've never heard of this company, just turn this off. You shouldn't be watching this, and I mean that in all sincerity. If I've just introduced PayPal to you, well, go and set up an account, and if you're a merchant, start, you know, listen to Nick's advice around starting to get engaged. You know, it doesn't take a lot. It's not a costly endeavor, and your customers will thank you by coming back often and spending more money with you if you start to enable them to buy. Thank you so much, Nick. I really appreciate you being here. Folks who are watching or listening still, you know how much it means to me, the fact that you do this for every episode. I really appreciate it. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, thank you for spending some time with us, and we'll see you next time on Untether.tv. Thanks, Nick. Thank you.